Tom, Mr. Short. Many teachers believe that too much time is taken teaching to the test. Do you believe this, and what can you do about it?
You mean to the MCAS?
Yeah, to the MCAS.
Well, MCAS is a necessary ingredient to the schools, and it has to be. And you know, I remember when I first started writing for the tab, when MCAS started coming out, and the then head of the teachers union referred to it as more or less a right-wing conspiracy. Now those sentiments all changed with the teachers union when the first MCAS were taken in the Newton schools, and the MCAS and the results were very good. The schools were rated very high. So MCAS is what we have, and MCAS is what we need, and MCAS measures the improvement of the students across the system. Now, if we didn't have it, then we would have nothing, and it adds a certain aura of accountability to a school system where there was none before. Now, the only other accountability that we really had is when the children finish, and that is, of course, with the SATs, which is still very good, but we don't want to wait till that point to see how the children are improving or progressing. Now, in answer, is a lot of time given to MCAS, to studying MCAS? To an extent, yes, and that perhaps should be mitigated. But I certainly would not advocate students going into refresher courses as they do to take the SATs. But MCAS is a necessary, I don't want to call it a necessary evil, but it's necessary, and we have to deal with it, and we have to keep the kids motivated to do it, and we have to keep the scores up as much as possible.
So MCAS right now has been the only measure that a lot of schools have used to compare themselves against one another. And that's one thing that I guess MCAS is here to stay. It's not a decision that will be made by the school committee here in Newton. That said, we need to really do a better job of making use of the information that we already have. The kids are going to have to take this test. I'm more concerned that the information that's being gathered is not being acted upon, number one. But more importantly, what I hear from the teachers is really that there's just not enough time in the day to teach what the kinds of things that they need to teach to, and maybe that's a little bit of what you're getting at, Barb, is really how it is that we're utilizing our time. Some of the exciting things that I really think are great moving forward is just there's some new technologies that are being introduced. I think some of the candidates talked about it earlier tonight that will enable teachers to get real-time assessments of really where they are at. And these assessments will enable them, whether at the bottom of the heap or at the top, for every teacher to understand where they are. And at the beginning of a class, that they'll have a voter system. This is going to be in every 5th grade by the end of, as I understand it, by the end of the year. At the touch of a button, they'll be able to assess whether the 100% of the class understands what the curriculum is going to be going forward, whether some people need some extra help, and whether other people need to be challenged. And in addition, there are other technologies available that assist teachers in providing them a little bit more challenge in that regard. For the kids I talked about that needed a little bit more help, that if they have the opportunity to work through the whiteboard or the smart board, that they're able to work on concepts that they wouldn't have otherwise been able to get, and they're able to develop 21st century skills such as critical thinking and collaboration. And to the extent that the smaller group that really needed extra help were a little bit more advanced, they could really explore hands-on things, like really adjusting the sail of a sailboat to see if they made it bigger or smaller, if it would go faster or not. These are some of the hands-on tools that really don't exist in this system, which exist other places in Massachusetts. And rather than just looking at test scores to compare ourselves, we need to start asking our teachers and our students, are they prepared to meet the needs of the 21st century? Are they getting the values and the whole education that they need to really succeed as good people and a good product of Newton? So that's really what I'm looking forward to, is take down those barriers that prevent them from doing that and find other ways to promote it privately and publicly so it's not all tax paid.